Hello everyone. So in this session, we're going to discuss about Azure Data Factory. We'll understand here what is Azure Data Factory. We'll also know why are we using Azure Data Factory, and we'll also see in one example. Now, uh, if you let's come with a small example. If you look into your left and right today, you are surrounded by a huge data. Okay. Now, what to do with this huge raw data that is available? Okay. Now, either this is being put somewhere. Okay, it could be any cloud platform for that matter. So Azure Data Factory, all that you need to know, there will be a source and there will be a sink, as you can see in the right hand side, source and the sink. So source is where you're going to copy the data and sink is where you're going to paste it. Okay, it sounds very simple, copy and paste, but it's not just that. Okay, now we'll see what is it. Okay, now as you can see here on the left hand side, that you have a cloud platform where your raw data could be placed. Okay, somebody must have placed this raw data as is. It could be AWS, it could be Azure, it could be Google Cloud. So when I talk about AWS, it could be in S3 or S3 where your data is put, or in Azure it could be in a data lake, and Google also in Google Cloud, and also it could be in RDBMS. Okay, and you can the data could be also be available from any apps. So take it LinkedIn, or you talk about Twitter. Okay, so any apps for that matter, etc, etc. So these are few sources that I've talked about. There could be various other sources. The good part is Azure Data Factory caters to all of this. Okay, so now as we speak, there are so many Azure services that are available for Data Factory only. So what we do here in with Azure Data Factory, we first of all create a link between the source and the Azure Data Factory, and then we also create a link with the sink so that we can copy and paste it. Now it sounds very this thing, right? That we first of all we do that integration, that means linking between the source, the Azure Data Factory, and the sink, right? And then is that it? No. So it's not about just the integration part where you just copy and paste it. Probably no. We can also do what, apart from this linking, as you can see the linking that we have done here, we can also do a transformation. So what is transformation? Transformation is nothing but your data munging, data wrangling, or cleaning up the data, and then finally that clean data you put it somewhere, right? That could be your sink. Now where is that sink place? Your sink could be another cloud service. For example, say for example you have a real-time scenario that your data from the client side is being hosted in AWS, whereas you would be working for a company in Azure. Okay, and maybe in a data lake. So you have AWS, you have to take the data and then put it there, right? So now again, when this data comes, this is a huge form of a data that you probably would be dealing with, could be in millions and billions of data. Okay, that's why Azure Data Factory plays a vital role. Okay, now Azure Data Factory, when it comes to transformation, it is very simple, sort of a graphical this way of going about it. Okay, that's how it does the transformation. And the third thing is that it does is the orchestration. That means today, maybe tonight you just did your job and your data would be available somewhere in the morning, which when you won't be available, right? Or maybe whenever the data is available, you want this entire pipeline to be run. So in that case, orchestration will help. That means you can set the timer and then you have this entire pipeline to be done. So this pipeline is not complete yet. As you can see, the source has been already pipelined to the Azure Data Factory. The next thing that you'd be doing is the end line of the pipe, right, is where you have this clean data that would be put in the location somewhere. Here I've shown any database, it could be anywhere, your client side. Okay, you can put it wherever you want. So this entire pipeline, you can design it using Azure Data Factory. Now when it comes to transformation, which you see in the second point, this transformation, it does handle a lot of transformation here in Azure Data Factory, but when it comes to a very, very complex, you can take help of a PySpark there. So at the back end, when you do this transformation, Azure Data Factory does also play with the PySpark itself, which you might not be realizing. You'd be just playing in the graph there, just pulling object here and there, that's it. But internally it is running a PySpark. So yeah, now this is one set. Now in today's session, what we will see is that we'll put the data into a database which is SQL database. Okay, and we will see that I'm going to use Azure Data Studio to upload a Excel file or a table inside a SQL database, and then we will use this entire pipeline and put it into Azure Data Lake. So what is my source here? My source is SQL, from where I'm going to take the data and I'll put it in Azure Data Lake. Azure Data Lake. Now, why did I say Azure Studio? I said you have to place a table, right? So you'll place that table from your local system to SQL database. So I'm going to use Azure Data Studio in order to do that. Okay, so if you have understood this, let's jump into action with the Azure Data Factory. Now, this is how the platform would look like whenever you open it. Okay, Microsoft Azure. This is how it looks like. Now, if you are opening it for the first time, so you might not see everything here because I have already used it. So now these are some of the services that will automatically come here. It's very easy. You can just go to the search bar and type it out, anything. So first thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to search for the source. Source is my SQL database, right? So I'm going to do first of all with the source, and then I'll create the sink, and then I'll create the Azure Data Factory, and I'll show you the entire pipeline. So first thing, the source is SQL, right? So I'm going to type SQL here. The first thing that it comes here, SQL database, that's the one that I'm going to click. So I'll create a SQL database here. Now, some of the step here, you're going to follow it very properly. If you are running in a free tier, then it's easy go. But if you're doing it where you'll be charged, then you would like to cautiously play with it so that you are charged very, very minimum. So since I already have a paid subscription, so I'll have to do it. Okay, now first thing first is I will not create SQL database. First thing first, I'll create a resource group. Now, what is resource group? Resource group, once you create a resource group, all the services that you would be playing for this, will put it in the same resource group for our easiness. Okay, that's how your industry practice is. You should be also following the same. So let's first create a resource group. So I'm going to type here resource group. So if you see here, it automatically comes here once you typed it. I already have one created, so I'll create another one. So I'll go and create it here. Okay, if you press the button, it will come like this. So you're going to name this. So let me name it as training maybe _1c. That's the name that I've given. Okay, now it's in South India, any location that you can put, but since I'm from India, I'm going to put that and review and create it. So you don't have to do much. Okay, you can go ahead and create it. I can pin it to a dashboard now. So dashboard becomes very simple if you pin it to a dashboard. So all the resources coming, everything will be in one particular dashboard. I would not like to make it more complex for you as of now, since we're just starting it off. So let's make it simple. I'll not put the dashboard as of now. Okay, so I have just created a resource group. I named it as training 1B. Okay, now once this is created, the next thing is, now let's come and create the source, that is SQL database. So if you see, the first thing that it asks here, subscription, which is already by default there, create a resource group. Do I need to create? I've already created one. See, this is already there. Then one that I've created it for this particular task is training 1C. I'm going to click that. Now the database name, you're going to put your own database name, but I'm going to put it with respect to the name that I have assigned it for your resource group. Okay, so I'll make it very close so that we become familiar to it whenever step comes. So training 1C. Okay, and since it's a database, I'm going to put DB here in the beginning. So all that it starts with, it's DB training 1C. Okay, now everything that you see is cleared. That means I followed the naming convention properly. And server, I have to create. So far I have not created the server name, so I'll create one. So I'll put in the beginning saying server, and then I'll put training. That's the name that I have given for my resource group, everything. So you can always keep track of what I'm doing. Okay, so do I need to sorry, you need to click on create and then go ahead and create it. Okay, so server, I'll put it training, server training, only lowercase, so I'll just put T, and So all has to be in a lowercase, and then 1c. So you see there is a cross, right? So all that it is expecting is not an underscore here. You can put a hyphen. So I've said server training. See, that's the name of the server that I've given. Instead of East US, I'm going to make it a Central India. And now this is where you have to play with the parameters so that you are charged very less. So that hasn't come yet. So I'm going to select use SQL authentication. So enter the server admin login. So I'm going to put a name, say for example my name itself, Rajat. Okay, so every time you'll see that username and the password would come, and I'm going to put this name Rajat every now and then. So now password, you can put yours. Let me put mine. Okay, now once this is done, I'll press OK. So I've created the server. Now comes the selection. Okay, so wants to use SQL elastic pool, I don't require it, so I've put it no. And is it a production or development? I'll put it development, so you'll be charged less. Okay, because they are going to be using minimum resources for the development. So yeah, so if you go on the top right somewhere, you will see automatically this is coming. As of now it says 10.91 because the usage, the way I use it, that's the way it picked it up. Okay, some of the parameters by default it has picked it up, but you might see a higher value here. Okay, but when you start doing it once, again it's going to catch it on your practice. Then now what we'll do is, we have selected development here. I'm going to configure the database. Now this is the vital step here, where if you want to be charged minimum for any practice purposes, then you need to do it here. So this is serverless. I'm going to keep it as this thing, general purpose. Instead of general purpose, I'm going to make it basic for less demand workloads. Okay, and it says data, and you must have seen that I think it's taking 5 GB or maybe 5. So instead I'll make it a very less one. Okay, I'll make it 0.1 rather. So I'm going to use a very less data, and then here locally redundant. So 0.1 is just maybe 100 MB. Okay, that's the size that I have, big size that I'm looking for. So because the data that I'll be using, even that is going to be very small, not a very big data. So why just waste money here? So if I do that now, if you see, it is saying that it is 93 into 5, right? It's going to get below somewhere below than that. Okay, let me just see everything if I have applied it properly compared to yours. Okay, I'll just apply it. Let me go to the top and see how is it. It's 93. I mean, I would say it's still more. Okay, configure database, it's at 100 MB. I've selected that correctly. Have I missed anything here? No. Okay, this is all good. Then I'll just review and create it. Next networking, I don't have to. Okay, so this is done, this is done, and I'll just create it. So if these are the steps that you follow carefully, I don't think you would be charged a lot. Okay, a very minimum charge. If month it says 435, so imagine when you are just doing it for 1 hour, maybe half an hour, so it's going to be very nominal. So it says deployment is in progress, so it's going to take some time to deploy it. So in the interest of time, what I'll do is I'll create a duplicate of it. Okay, and I'll try to since this is the source that I've talked about, which is the database that I'm creating, so also side by side you would be needing one more thing, that is, in order to upload this data into this SQL database, you're going to require one you're going to require Azure Data Studio. Okay, as you can see here, Azure Data Studio download. Okay, now if you come here and click it, so if you come down, you will see this option. If you're doing it in Windows, you can click here for the download, For Mac OS, you can try universal. Okay, since I've already downloaded it, I'm not going to download that again. Okay, but I'm going to show you where you can get an error message if you have not filled up properly. So all these details I'm going to show it to you. So once if you've downloaded it, the first thing that if you try to open, right, so this is my Azure Data Studio. So this is how it should be initially looking like. You probably won't see what you see in the left hand side. Okay, these are all the DBs that I've created. So rest all, it should look exactly the same. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a new and new connection. So the moment you click that, so these are some of the parameters that would come to be filled, but you don't have to fill all the ones. Okay, the ones that are with stars, mostly those are the ones that you're going to fill it. So we must have guessed it, right? Server, what is the server name? If you remember, I've given the server name. I'll go back here. Okay, so since deployment is still on progress, so it hasn't created yet, or else I would have shown it to you, but let it come. I mean, it shouldn't take that much amount of time. So it's almost created. See, it's as we speak, it is already created. Now I'll go to the resources. So once we go to the resources, if you come to the right, you see the topmost, it says server name. Okay, I'm just going to click, it will be copied in the clipboard, and then I'll just come down here. I'm going to paste it. Okay, that's my server name. So login, as you remember, that login name that I've given was Rajat. Okay, the password, you can whatever you must have put it, then you put it that. Okay, that's it. This is all you are going to require, but definitely you are going to get an error if you are doing it for the first time. So even if I do it now, I'm going to get an error, but let me see if I'm able to connect it. I'm going to explain it to you, but if it is throwing an error, that's the error that I'm going to get. Okay, if you're going to get this error, that means you have missed one thing. Okay, if let me come back here. I'm going to go to set server firewall, which is right on the top. Okay, set server firewall, and it will be clicked on the disable. You're going to click on selected networks. Okay, you come down here, and once you have come down, you will going to click on this allow Azure service and resources to access this server. Because we are going to use services here, you definitely have to click this, because your other Azure services need to access this. Okay, so when I say other Azure services, you would be creating data lake, you would be creating this and that, Azure Data Factory, all has to access it, right? So you have to click this. Now one more thing, you need to add a firewall. If you don't add a firewall, again you will get an error. Okay, so this firewall name, I'm going to put it again training. Okay, TRAINING training 1C. Now if you see, it is asking for start IP and end IP. So I'm just going to copy this. Okay, add your client IP. So 223.235.118.186. Once you have copied that, you can Control A, copy it and put it back here itself in the end API and click on OK. So it's all set. Definitely don't forget to save it. If you have forgotten to save it, remember that you're going to get this error again. So now I'm going to save it. It is saying that updating server public network service. Okay, now once this is done, let me again go to Azure Data Studio. Now why again Azure Data Studio? I'm going to upload a table with the help of Azure Data Studio only in the SQL database. So I'll click on OK. Now I'm going to click on connect here. So now if you see, it should not throw. See, it has not thrown an error. It has created, if you see on the left hand side, server training, the server that I have talked about, right? The server name that I've given, it has created that server for me. So you will not going to see mostly all of this. This DB training is, this database is what I have created. Master, you may not see it. This is now I've created, so it's going to be definitely there. Now, so from here, what is the next step? How you're going to upload this data? Okay, the table that I'm going to upload is from the local table or from my local system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go for import wizard. So once I click, it says database, the table is creating it in master. Definitely not. You are creating in DB training once. That's the database name I have given, if you remember. Okay, so that's the database actually. So if you are selecting the default one, it is definitely going to throw you an error. Then you click on browse. I'll go my downloads. You may have your own local, okay, whichever table that you want to apply. I want to upload this export.csv. Okay, I'll double click on that. It's getting uploaded. That's it. Finished. Everything is done. I'll go to next. Not that everything is done. You can preview the data that you have just uploaded. Okay, that's how it's going to look like. Then I'm going to click on next. Now here comes to select whichever you want to be selected as a primary key or whatever it is. So for in my case, I could have created claimjade as a primary key, or anything for that matter. I'll leave it blank as of now. Allow nulls, I'll leave it blank as of now, but if you definitely have a blanks, then you can go and click here. So I'm going to import data from here. If everything goes well, that this place where you see it's buffering, it should say you have successfully inserted the data into the table. That means it's done. Okay, I'm going to press done here. Now if I want, I can click on this new query and do query about it, but instead of doing it here, whether my data got uploaded here or not, I'll do it here itself. So if you come here, if you see SQL database on the left hand side, I'm going to click it here. Okay, and just check it whether my data has come or not. So I'm see the database DB training which I've created, it's there. I'm going to do query editor on the left hand side. So it's Rajat is the login. The password again I'm going to put it. So once you logged in, if you see here on the left hand side table, see the export table has come. Okay, that was a table name, if you remember, I have imported. So I'm going to place a small query of just doing a select on dbo.export. okay, and I will do a control A and run this. So if you see down below, the query has run successfully. That means so far I'm all good. The data has been put into the SQL database. That's it. Now, one thing I could have easily done, instead of going for Azure Data Studio to upload a table, I could have done an insert command and created a particular small table for that matter. Just that I'm doing it for a practice purpose, right? Because I wanted you to know about Azure Data Studio too. That's the reason I've done it. So putting a good amount of table looks good. Now once this is done, you know that your data is already available in your SQL database. That means my source is already okay. Yes, my source has the data. Now I'm going to put it somewhere. So my motive somewhere is that I'm going to create one data lake in Azure service, and I'm going to put it over there. So is it just copy pasting it? No, I'm going to use Azure Data Factory in order to pull this data from this SQL database and then put it into my Azure Data Lake. Okay, so now since I know this part is done, I can now ignore it. I'll just come to the next tab that I've created, duplicated tab, and I'm going to go to Azure, Microsoft Azure, and this is where I'm going to create my sink. My sink is going to be a data lake where I'm going to put this export data with the help of Azure Data Factory into a Delta Lake. Okay, so all that I'm going to type is storage. Okay, that's a storage account. So if you see, this is a symbol. I'm going to click it here. Storage account. Already 2 storage account is created. I'm going to create another one. So I'm going to click it here. Once this is done, resource group is coming RG spec. That's not the resource group that I want. I want training 1C, because that's the resource group meant for this. Okay, meant for this particular project that I'm doing along with you. Okay, so 1C, and then storage account name. Let's say, for example, now whenever I'm creating a storage account, since I'm going to create a data lake, so what I'm going to say is let me put it training 1C lake. I'll put it, okay, 1C and then lake. So in that way, I think it's going to be all hyphen here. The field can contain only lowercase letters and numbers. Name must be between. So there is no such thing. Okay, 1C lake, that's the name that I've given. Okay, so let's not get confused here. Yeah, as simple as it can get. I hope you will remember this: training 1C lake. Okay, or should I just put training lake? Okay, let me put 1C lake because it has to be sort of, identical, which I may not have used earlier. Okay, sort of unique. So 1C lake, that's the name that I've given of the storage account, and you cannot review and create directly. Okay, so next here you want to select is locally redundant. I don't want you to be charged for this. Okay, I have good amount, so even if I meant it locally redundant, that's fine. Next. Now here is what you have to select is, this is what hierarchy you need to select. Okay, enable hierarchical namespace. The moment you create that, you are not creating a blob, just a simple blob or storage account. You are creating a data lake. Okay, so enabling hierarchical namespace. So if you don't know that, I'm going to have a lot of detailed discussion on this in my further session. So we will discuss more on that. I'll just go and create it now. So this should do it. Okay. Now once this is getting created, what I'll do is, okay, let it get created. Let me move step by step so that you don't get confused. So once this gets created, the storage account or data lake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one container within it. Okay, so within that container I would want my data to be put. Now as I see, deployment is complete, I'll go to the resources and I'll go to data lake storage. Okay, data lake storage, and if you see, yeah, now this is where I'm going to create a container. Now if you look on the top, see training 1C lake, that's the name that I've given, and I'm inside it. Now I'm going to create a container. So let's name it as just training data, or say yeah, let's say I've just put a name called data. Okay, the container name is data. So or it is a output data, right? Let me make some sense out of it and then call it output data. Okay, because this is going to be my sink. And what does it say? The name may include lowercase letter, numbers, hyphens. Okay, but it cannot be numbers and hyphens, and must begin with a letter and number. Okay, so it should be a hyphen here. So you see my container is created, my container is empty as of now. Now if you've noticed, I have created my source, which is the database, and I already have a data available over there, export data. And now I have created my sink also, where I need to put the data. So now the next step is creating Azure Data Factory. Okay, so I'll just go right on the top and type Data Factory. Okay, the moment you type data factory, this is what it is. Okay, data factories. So I'm going to click on it, create data factory here. So the resource group is definitely going to be training 1C again. Okay, and the name that I'm going to give, I'll mention on before df, which is data factory underscore training 1C. Okay, that's the name that I prefer. Instead of East US, I'm going to put it Central India. Okay, now training, sorry, the spelling, I have made a mistake, one correction. I think again it is expecting not underscore and hyphen. Every time I make it underscore, that's my bad. I should accept it, the data factory. Okay, 1C. The name is not taken yet. So that's it. I'll review plus create it. There's nothing much you can do about it. It is going to be all okay. So when it comes to charging in the data factory, you might want to have a look at yourself, but it doesn't charge as long as you are using it with a limit. Okay, I'll go to the resources since it is being already deployed. So you see now all these things are done. I have created training DB server training 1C. Now this is, it is showing in one particular resources, right? If I would have created a dashboard, in one dashboard I could have had this all these three, and for me just going in and out of it would have become even easier. So that I have avoided it now, just that I don't wanted to put a lot of things in one video and then make you confused. Okay, so I have training data lake, which is my sink. So data training is where my data is residing as of now. Server is the database servers that I have. Okay, now Azure Data Factory. I'll go to the okay, it's still not done yet, I think. Yeah, okay, now that you see Azure Data Factory training has come. Okay, so I'm going to click on it. I'll launch Studio here. Okay, Azure Data Factory Studio. Once it is created, you will have this option. You can click on that and this is what it will open, Azure Data Factory, once you have created it. See, the moment you create, deployment takes some time. Once the deployment is over, you're going to get that option. Okay, so you do it. So on the left hand side, we are in a home. That's where you see it. See, ingest, orchestrate, transform data. So some of which we have already discussed in the slide. Ingest is nothing but ingesting the data. Orchestrate, I have told you already. Transformation is what we said that you can do it. Now you have these three options. As you can see, 4 options on the left hand side. Okay, apart from home. This is author, this is monitor, this is manage, and this is where you create a learning center listing that you want to deal with it now. First, the one that which is very important is author and your manage. Okay, monitor is the moment you try you've created that entire pipeline and then you have orchestrated it, you would be able to see all the pipeline that is working. Okay, so first thing first is I'll go to the manage. The reason why I'll go to the manage, one part to be noted here, let me come back here. Okay, so what I have not said here is creating this link. Okay, this is very vital, creating that link. So there are 2 things that you need to remember. One is creating a link here. Link is nothing in the data factory, it's called as linked services. Okay, and these linked services, depending on the service that you're using, Azure Data Factory has all of the linked services available. You just have to select them. So we will select the link, that is one. Another one is selecting the dataset. Dataset as in what type of a data that you want, right? Do you want it in a CSV format, Excel format, this format, that format, everything, but you have to specify that explicitly. Okay, so you have to keep in mind these 2 things that we need to do. So let's come here. Currently we are in this manage and we are in the link services. Now we are just linking it. Okay, so first of all we will link between Azure Data Factory and the source. The linkage has to be done first. So I'll create this new link. Now you see, the moment I've created a new, this small window has shown up from the left hand side, and I'm going to search here. If you remember, it is SQL, right? SQL database. So I'm going to click here, Azure SQL database, and continue with it. Name, I'll not put the default name, rather let's have the industry practice. It is linked services. I'll put ls link service underscore. It is a SQL and it is a source. So why am I putting all this thing is so you can just put any name or the default name itself, but when you give this name, right, that it is a SQL and it is for the source, it becomes easy when it comes to drag and drop. Okay, so you've created it. Now when you have to go somewhere there and just select it, it becomes a very easy thing. You would easily get to know, okay, this is for the source. You just go about selecting it. So ls, so link service SQL source that I've given. Service is going to be Azure subscription. Server name, if you remember the server name that I've given, it's automatically popped up. Okay, server training 1c, that's the name I've given it in the beginning. Database, that also will pop up. See, DB training 1c. Okay, this is the source. Okay, the source, the SQL source, every details of the SQL source that is coming up. So username, if you remember, Rajat. Now I'm going to give the password also. So now if everything is, all this detail which you have given, if all this is right, if I do a test connection, it should show a tick, a green symbol symbolizing successful. Connection is successful, and you have to go and create it. But in case if there is a failure, then remember the set firewall option and everything, you have not done it properly. Okay, over there you have to go and create things. So I'm going to create it here. So my first link service is created between the source and the data factory. What is not created is from data factory to the sink. Okay, that I'm going to create it now. So what is the sink? If you remember, data lake. Okay, so I'm going to type data. The moment I type data lake, see Azure data lake is already come here. So that's the one that I need to select, and I'll continue here. So I'll remove this default name. Instead, this is a link service again, but link service of what? Data lake. I'm just going to put lake here, and this is my sink, right? I'll put the name sink. So it becomes easy for me now. Subscription Azure account of the storage name. If you remember, training 1C lake. Sounds very unfamiliar name, but that's the name, if you remember, I've given, right? So automatically it's coming. So once you try to play, right, you are going to enjoy this. So all these details is filled. I can do test connection, but I don't want to test time because I know it's all correct. I'll go ahead and create it. So every time you create this, you can go about publishing it. Okay, publishing is not come yet. Now, if you remember, what I said is the link service is done now. You have created the link. The link is done. If I just go to the graph, these two links have been done. That's one part you have done it. Another part that is remaining is the data set, specifying what kind of a data is going to be. This is a very important step. Okay, now I'll go back to author now. I'll go back to author. In author, you will see data set. Okay, I'm just going to click here and create a new data set. My first data set is between again your source and the data factory. If you remember, it was a SQL. So I'm going to create SQL here and continue. I'll give it a name. I'll say DS because data set. Okay, and that is SQL and that is source. So yeah, the name is done. Now if you see, it is asking for the link service, right? Automatically it's going to come ls SQL source. So that's the reason, the naming convention. Now if you think of why did I give this, so you can easily go ahead and select it. Table name, automatically I know it's an export, it should come. See, DB export, it has come automatically. Now everything is done. I'm going to press OK. Okay, now this is done. Now as and when you do one thing, right, services here, publish all, it will say. I can go ahead and click this, it is going to publish it, but I'm going to do it all together. Okay, good practice is if you do it the time when you do it, probably now itself I can go ahead and publish it. That's a very good thing to do, but yeah, I'll try to do it at the end. So now I'm going to create a data set between the data factory and the sink. So my sink is here, data lake, right? Data lake. So I'm going to put here. Now what kind of a data format you want that? I want it in a CSV format. I could have clicked JSON format, XML or anything, but I think that will look more decent. That's the reason I have put delimited text. Okay, CSV. I'll do continue here and DS. So this is my lake and this is my sink. Okay, so that's a name that I've given. Now link service, see, automatically ls lake sink. Okay, now it is asking you for the path. Okay, the path where you're going to sync it or dump it. Okay, so I'm going to create on this folder. See, automatically output data has been created. If you remember, there was a container that I have created. Okay, so that is the container name that I've given was an output data. Okay, just to take you through, if it is already there, let me check. Okay, I think I have already come over it, but anyways, I hope you remember the output data was a container that I've created. Okay, so that's it. That's done. Okay, that's it. It is all created now. The two data part is also done. I could go ahead and publish it now, but I'll hold on. Okay, I'll do another thing and then I'll do it all together. The next part is creating the entire pipeline that I've created. Okay, so if you remember, now you have SQL link service data sets done, Azure factory link service data is done. So this entire set is done. Now I'm just creating the pipeline so that the moment I trigger it, the entire pipeline should work together without any manual intervention. Okay, so I'll come back here. I'll create a new pipeline here, and here I'm going to search for copy. I want to copy it. The task is just a copy paste, right? I'm not doing any transformation as of yet. So once you do a copy here, I can go ahead, change the name here and all of those things that I'm not going to do it here. You can do it as you practice, but good practice is to have a different name altogether. So this is my source and sink. See, this too is expecting one parameter. That's the reason why you see small one on its head, right? So I'm going to click on source. My source should automatically come here. My source is nothing but SQL database, right? Sorry, DS Lake Sync, right? So that's the data set that I've created. And what is your sync? Sync is going to be a Lake Sync. Okay, that's it. Now what I'm going to do is, just in the interest, I'm going to preview the data. Okay, if you see, no data to preview. So let me see if I have selected something wrong. Let me see now. Okay, so now you see the data. So don't make any mistake here. The moment you come to sync, all that you're going to see DS SQL source, okay, not that DS Lake Sync. I have made a very bad this thing while I was teaching. I myself got lost. Okay, it is going to be DS SQL source, right? Because that's the source we have, DS SQL source. Despite me trying to correct you, but I made a mistake. Okay, anyways, I'm correcting it. It's going to be DS SQL source. Now sync would be, yeah, sync I've given it all correct. It's going to be DS Lake Sync. Okay, so this is all that you had to do it. Okay, so as I showed in the source, you go ahead and preview it. Okay, sync you don't have this option, but that's fine. So that's all that you're going to need here. Okay, just to test it out, you can do a debug here. Okay, if you click on this debug, it is going to run the pipeline. See, now it is already started. If everything goes well, I'm going to see the data over there. Okay, I'll just quickly refresh it. It shouldn't take much time. It hasn't copied it yet. Okay, let it get succeeded. It's in still progress. You can I can preview it here. See, a beautiful thing that has come, right, from SQL to Azure Data Lake, file written, this many, all the things are rows written, all these details are out. Okay, now see, it has succeeded. Okay, you can preview it here. Okay, succeeded. Now let's go and see whether at all it has succeeded or not. So let me go to the storage account, was training once in Lake, and then inside which I've created one container called output data, and within which your data, it has already copied. If you remember in the beginning when I've created this container, it was a blank. I've showed it to you. That's where it got copied. What I'll do is I'll delete it. Okay, the reason why I'll delete it, because I'll create this entire pipeline, set a timer so that we get to observe everything. Okay, I'll go to Azure here, Azure. So now what I'm going to do, I'll add a trigger here. Okay, I'm trying to do the orchestration part. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one. Sorry, I'll cancel it. New and edit. Okay, choose a trigger. I'm going to create a new one. Trigger one, I'll leave the name as is. Today, as we are speaking, it's already 8th of April, and the time it's 1:02. So I'm going to select here on the top 1, and it's 1:02 a.m. right? So instead of 32, I'll put it 3. Okay, I hope 20 seconds, right? Okay, I'm going to start a trigger. Okay, it's all done. So what I can quickly do is now publish all the 4. If you don't publish it, it's not going to work. Publishing is definitely necessary. So clock has already ticked 3 a.m. 1.3 a.m. So not sure if it has already started off. If it is started off, it will come here, or else again I'll have to set the timer. Okay, I have put 1:3 and I think I have not put the timer part correctly. Okay, I'll have to redo that part. Loading the pipeline. No, there is no pipeline. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create another this thing. I'll set the timer again. Let me check it again in case if it has come. No, so definitely I have not done it the way I wanted to. So what I'll do is new. I'm just opening the same thing, and instead of everything is correct. Okay, 3 a.m. 00 seconds. So yeah, I'll have to change the time. Instead of 3, now let me make it 5. Okay, so it is just 1 minute away. Let me push this and let me publish it all. Okay, so let's hold on for a few seconds. It should work now. Okay, the process is completed. The moment my clock strikes 1 o'clock 5 minute, it is going to start. Okay, as of now, I'm go to the monitor. You'll see there is nothing happening here. Okay, nothing happening here. I'm just looking at the clock of my system. Okay, so it should start now. Anytime it should start. See, the pipeline has started. So this is what I was talking about, that you don't have to wait. Once you have set the timer, you go to your bed and sleep. As and when the trigger time starts, it's going to operate all on its own. The entire pipeline will finish it. If you remember, I've deleted the data from that particular folder, right? So see, it has succeeded. So see, the data is not that I've deleted from here, right? I'll refresh it. The data is here already. So if I go inside it and I'll go to edit, you can see the data. Okay, if don't get confused if it is .txt, but if all are comma separated, if you see here. Okay, yeah, that's all I had to say. I hope you enjoyed it, you learned it. Thank you for this. Okay, bye.